Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses in New York. Get a better angle here. Or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Now, I got a question, and I've dealt with this a few times, and I get these questions a lot. Can a real estate agent be an investor? So let me explain a few things. First of all, I'm going to explain why. Not, I'm going to explain why people ask this question, why people think that you can't. Then I'm going to explain why they're 100% wrong, and a real estate agent can absolutely be an investor. And then I'm going to explain not only can a real estate agent be an investor, I believe every investor should be a real estate agent. Okay, so let's go through it. So the reason why people think there's some kind of problem is because there are gurus in other states who will say things along the lines of, well, if you're a real estate agent and you're an investor, then you buy a property at a discount, you are not fulfilling your fiduciary responsibility to the seller. So let me explain two reasons why that's absurd. Number one is I don't buy properties from people that could list. I just don't. If somebody can list, I tell them to list. And it's almost impossible to even conceive, in our area anyway, that someone who could list a property is not going to know that they can list and make more money. If they're selling it to an investor, to me or to any investor, there's some specific reason why they don't want to list or can't list, right? Usually the top three or four reasons are that number one, the condition of the property is terrible and they don't feel like a regular retail buyer can get a mortgage. So there's a condition problem. Number two is some municipal problems, so open permits, open violations, unpermitted additions, where they feel they cannot convey clean title. Number three is time frame issue, so they don't want to be on buyer's time frame either because they need to close very quickly or because they don't know where they're going and they need a lot of time. Those are the probably top three. Top four, I would say, is just that they maybe had a bad experience with a realtor before or bad experience with a regular retail buyer who maybe screwed them over by backing out of a contract because of the mortgage contingency clause in every regular contract that happens. Those are the usual reasons. But the idea that somehow we're going to swoop in and steal properties from widows and orphans because and really those people could list is almost absurd. That's number one. Number two is in our area, I can tell you that the real estate boards have no qualms about real estate agents buying their own properties at all. There might be other counties or other states where it's an issue, but it's not an issue at all in New York. So, and I think it's absurd to think that somehow we're going to buy a property from somebody that could list. Everybody knows they can list the property. I mean, I can't imagine anybody who doesn't. So, the answer is that is why people ask this question. Now, number two is, as I said, it's completely wrong and doesn't apply at all. Now, I'm going to go further and say that I think every investor should be licensed. Let me explain why. And I've gone through this multiple times before. If you've seen my videos, you'll know. There are really three reasons why every real estate investor should be a licensed agent. The first reason, number one, is access to the multiple listing service, the MLS. Now, you could possibly have access to the multiple listing service via somebody's credentials, which is not really allowed, but it's possible you can do that. But I believe firmly that everybody should see the multiple listing service because it is by far, well, not by far, but it is the best way to comp out properties and come up with values. So the second place is PropStream, right? If you don't want to get licensed, you can get a PropStream. PropStream used to not be great in Long Island, but it's been improved, and it's probably 85% as good as the MLS. So those are the only two ways that I recommend people come up with values. I speak to people all the time who say they're getting values via Zillow and Trulia. That is a recipe for disaster, right? You can see some of my earlier videos where Zillow was off by $1 million on a property that I went to contract on and thankfully was able to get out of the contract on. $1 million. Think about that for a second. So you cannot rely on the free tools. You need either multiple listing service access or PropStream, and multiple listing service is better. It's worth it to become an agent and pay a few $100s a year for that. Number two is you want to be able to list your own property. So either you're wholesaling or rehabbing properties and selling it to retail buyers. You want to be in control of that listing. You don't want to pay somebody else several points, several percent to sell it for you, right? There are flat fee listing companies. I used them when I first started before I was licensed. I don't recommend them. That's a whole nother topic I can talk about. But I would say you want to be in control of that listing. And if you're wholesaling the property, you can also list it. It's 100% legal. You are not allowed to represent that you own the property. So the owner has to say contract vendee. That means I'm in contract. I'm looking for cash buyers. It's a great way to build a buyer's list. It only works in certain situations. So if you are buying property from somebody who's living in it, or somebody who's really on top of it, you do not want to list the property unless they know you're going to put it out there. If you want to be open and tell them, that's fine. But it's much better to be used in a situation where there's a vacant property or the seller is far away. It can be used if the person's there, as long as you're open about what you're doing. So that's the second reason you want to be able to list your own properties. The third reason is that if you really go on enough appointments, right? I'm talking a significant. If you go on appointments, I don't know what the number is, but you go on enough appointments, you're going to come into contact with people who just want to list, right? Even if you had a discussion over the phone saying that you're not an agent, they still come there and they go, "I want to list it with you." I know it's crazy, but it sounds crazy, but it happens. Or you're going to come into contact with people who just should list, right? So I've told people on probably 1,000 occasions, listen, I'll give you a number that I can pay for this property, but you'd be crazy to sell it to me or any other investor. You're leaving a lot of money on the table. The house is in good shape. You don't have any of the reasons I discussed before, so time, condition, municipal issues, problems listing it. You should list this property. Now, the idea that somehow I'm converting this from an investor buy to a listing is, as I said, ridiculous. Everyone's going to realize they can list at some point. If the property really is in good condition, you're foolish to think that this person's not going to end up listing it, right? If the person doesn't have any of those other problems. So you want to be able to get those listings, right? Even if you don't want to actually do the listings, you want to be able to get the listings and then maybe split the commission with somebody else. But you're foolish to think that, let's be clear here. In any given market, on average, 90% of the properties are going to sell listed with an agent on the MLS. 90. 10% are going to go to investors. So you have a 9 to 1 chance that this is going to be listed. Right now, you hopefully will filter out those people that want to list, qualified, disqualified. But very often you get there and you were mistaken, they misunderstood you, or you get there and you go, listen, I'll give you a number I can buy it for, but you should not list it. Now, sometimes I say that and I still end up buying it, but very often I end up listing it, and that's fine. So you want the ability to take listings, even if you don't want to sit there and open houses, and I don't. You can still just get the listing and then split the commission with somebody else. But that's free money. It's free money, and someone else is going to get it if it's not you. And you've already spent the money on the marketing. You spent the time going on the appointment. You crazy to not grab some of those listings that are out there, in my opinion. So you can overqualify people over the phone, so you'll never get those, but you'll probably still get them if you go on enough appointments. And the truth is, it's just a part of life. I'm looking at my board. I just closed 4 listings in the last few months. I have 2 more that are closing soon. It's free money, right? It's money just out there, and it's the easiest money you're going to make, right? In today's market, even in a difficult market, to not take a listing commission is foolish. Someone else is going to get it. So those are my thoughts on not only can a real estate agent be an investor, but I think every investor should be a real estate agent. Again, it makes no sense to me whatsoever to think that there is any conflict of interest to be both. I really don't. People ask me what I do. I say I do 2 things. I buy properties that need work. I fix them up and I sell them. And I also am a traditional realtor. I'll list properties if that's what somebody wants from me. And I've never seen a conflict. I've never even fathomed a conflict, though I know there are other gurus who say, oh, you want to talk crap about realtors. You want to get there and go, you don't want to pay these crazy realtors 6% commission. It's a foolish thing to do. It's a foolish thing to do. Knowing that 90% of any given market, 90% of the homes are going to end up listed on the MLS, unless this property has some kind of severe problem where it can't be listed. The idea that you're going to talk crap about realtors doesn't make any sense to me. It's going to end up being listed. All you're doing is making yourself look like a fool. So those are my thoughts. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you are interested in a course I have that teaches how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, you find out more about that at coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. And I go live 5 times a week, and I really don't always know what to say, so please keep the comments coming. All comments are fine. Does not have to be about the video you're watching. If it's a simple response, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered before, I just yesterday sent somebody links to 4 videos on videos that I had done on that topic. And if it's something new, I'll do a new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it.